Hi guys, Gold here doing another base scout and attack replay. This one's going to be a LaLoonian attack by Hannah against the number 4 of the MadeInAmerica clan. The LaLoonian attack includes lava hounds, balloons, and minions. Usually people bring 2 or 4 lava hounds and then kind of a split between minions and balloons on the rest. This one, Hannah brings 4 lava hounds. You'll notice she did a really good job. She got the 2-star, which is great, especially considering that this is a new attack style for us and we're trying to figure out how to use it. And so, being that it's a new attack style, I'm not an expert in it, but watching Hannah's attacks, she's used it a few times and Derek's used it a few times, I think a few other people might have used it. Watching those attacks and then having watched some videos on it, I have a few ideas, and we'll see how they go. I'll share them with you here and we can try them out and see if maybe it helps. The LaLoonian attack seems to be a very powerful attack in that it can 2-star pretty much any Town Hall 9 base if done decently. Honestly, I can't think of a way to defend against it and stop the 2-star. It's just too powerful for that. It is fairly easy to defend it against it and stop the 3-star. Now, as an attacker, we want the 3-star, and so we're going to try to figure out how we can get that 3-star. Getting the 2-star with the LaLoonian, you can definitely do. So to get the 3-star, I think there's 2 key things that we have to do. One is pick the right base, and 2 is spell placement. I think all the rest kind of falls into place easily. It's really the spell placement and the base selection that are going to determine whether there's a 3-star for the base. So, what do I think is an ideal base for LaLoonian? The ideal base, in my opinion, for LaLoonian is going to have 2 qualities. It's going to have centralized air defenses, or at the very least, air defenses that are close to each other. And it's going to have defenses that are lined up in such a way that you can deploy your balloons without having them grouped. Now that's kind of a mouthful, so I'll explain as we go on what I mean by that. In this case, this base has an example of that, so maybe I'll just illustrate it by way of example. These defenses are all lined up kind of in a line. Now these kind of come out at an angle and screwed up, but more or less it's all in a line. So what does that mean? That means that if you deploy your balloons here all in a line, as you'll see that Hannah does, they all drift in fairly straight and each kind of go towards their own group of defenses, so you've only got a few balloons going to each defense, which is ideal. It's only going to take 2 bombs to kill any defense at Town Hall 9 of any level except for the Expos, which are an exception. They have ridiculous amounts of life. It's going to take 3 or 4 bombs to kill them depending on the level. So if it only takes 2 bomb drops to kill a building, what's the point in having 10 balloons all drop a bomb on the same building? It's completely wasted. Only 2 of those kill it. The other 8 are just wasted. And we all know how long it takes balloons to attack. It's ridiculously long. And so having those other 8 bombs go on that building that they didn't need to when they could have been killing another building, it is really killer. And you'll see that when people try balloon raids. The reason they get killed or ruined quite often is because they get all their balloons in one clump and they all go here and they kill one building. And then it takes them like 5 seconds to get here and kill another building. 5 more seconds to get here and kill another building. 5 more seconds to get here and kill another building. And this whole time they're getting pummeled. Right? It's just not the way to work. Versus if you have 2 coming here, 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 and 2 coming here, all of these buildings are going to die in the first hit. So instead of going 1 in the first hit, 1 in the second hit, 1 in the third hit, 1 in the fourth hit, and seconds in between, all of a sudden you've taken out 6 buildings in 1 hit, and the balloons can immediately move on to the next targets. That's the ideal for balloons, is to have them not bunch up. Now, of course, after they've taken out the first row, there's inevitably going to be some bunching as the nearest defenses are kind of, so they're going to start to bunch, and then they're going to bunch even further as they get closer, and eventually you're just going to end up with 1 or 2 groups floating around. That's inevitable, but if we can avoid the bunching until we absolutely have to have it, that's ideal. So, this base is great for LaLoonian in the sense that it has that nice straight row. It doesn't have to be a straight row for you to be able to get the 2 or 3 balloons versus each defense. You can do it, for example, sometimes there's like a corner that goes like this, and there's like defense, 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 and you can go line, line, right, something like that, you know, and that's fine. So it doesn't have to be a straight line. Or even if it's not a straight line, if you're careful about maybe doing 2 fingers at a time, you can go 2 balloons, 2 balloons, 2 balloons, 2 balloons, you know, really, really quickly, but still like doing it 1 drop at a time instead of the finger drag. The finger drag is good because it gets them all out really quick, but it only works if they're in this nice line. If they're not in that nice line, you may have to be a little more selective and do the double click. It's not clicking, you know what I mean, with your finger. All right, so that's the first one of the principles. Going back to the first principle I mentioned about a good LaLoonian base is centralized air defenses. And the reason I say that is you'll see when we do the replay why I think that's important. The first row of defenses are going to go down really easy. The balloons are going to come in and kill them. However, the lava hounds are really quick compared to your balloons, but don't do any damage. Right, so they're going to get in there really fast and start tanking on these first 2 air defenses, keeping the balloons alive. That's great, good for them. But then what happens as soon as the balloons kill these defenses, they take off and go towards the other ones. Now if the other ones are on the other side of the base, they're all alone sitting here shooting this little air defense, and the balloons are never going to get there in time to help them, because the balloons are still like putting along back here taking care of these defenses. Now even if you've properly raged, which you should do and we'll talk about in a minute, they're still going to have to stop to kill these defenses. And so the whole time that they're over here monkeying around, the lava hounds are out here sitting on these air defenses all by themselves getting killed. This one's probably okay, but this one out here is clear out on their own. Sorry, game reload. Alright, back to where we were. These are the things that you learn as you've done more videos, and obviously I haven't learned yet. I've got to keep touching the screen so that doesn't happen. Alright, so what does that mean? If the air defenses are spread out here really far, say this one's not an air defense and the air defense is out here, then all of a sudden after these air defenses are gone, the lava hounds go off clear on their own and they just die. Then when the balloons finally get to this point, there's nothing tanking for them and they get killed, not to mention the fact that the lava puffs that spawned are in front of your balloons, and so they don't get that protection from the balloons. Not an ideal situation. Now imagine the opposite situation. Pretend this was the air defense and this is the air defense. You see this kind of setup sometimes in what people think are anti-dragon bases. I actually don't like them for anti-dragon, but they have the centralized air defenses. What happens in this situation? Well, you've got your 2 lava pups coming this way and your 2 lava pups coming this way, or lava hounds coming this way. And then you've got your row of balloons coming in this way. Well, while the balloons are coming in to kill these, the lava hounds are tanking. As soon as the balloons get to this level and kill these air defenses, where are the lava hounds going to go? To the next balloon, to the next air defenses. But these air defenses, since they're close in, are still within striking distance of the balloons. The balloons are going to come down here and hopefully be able to get to these air defenses while the lava hounds are still tanking for them. So by having the air defenses all close together, you essentially make it easy for the lava hounds to tank for all 4 of the defenses, versus if the air defenses were here, 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 and here, so these weren't air defenses, they were something else. You'll get the tanking effect for these 2, but then the lava hounds will go clear off on their own, and they'll just die, and you'll lose the tanking effect for those. So I think for me, the ideal lava hound base is going to have centralized air defenses and a ring of outer defenses that are set up so that you can get them easily without your balloons clumping. So what would be the opposite example of how your balloons would clump? So for example, if you tried this side, okay, if you did a line of balloons here, they're all going to go to 3 defenses at most. Anyone within probably this range is going to come into this. Anyone within this range is going to come into this. And actually this range would probably even come out to here. They all come to here, and then only the few that come over here would go into there. And they'd have a very long distance to travel. They'd probably die before they even got there. So attacking from this side would not be very good for LaLoonian, because you'd have all your things clumping into 3 defenses, versus attacking from this side over here, you had your balloons all spread out over 6. if the base is set up so that every side, all four sides, are like this, where you're going to get clumps, I would consider that not a good base to LaLoonian. Or it would require a more targeted LaLoonian, which I think could be done, but it's going to be more specialized than the standard approach being the line of balloons. So for example, if it was like this, I would go 3, 3, 3, 3, and kind of have them come in so that they're targeted specifically to those, but not having, you don't want like 6 going to this and 7 going, you don't want that kind of clump. Alright, the other thing that I mentioned about what I think makes the 3-star is the spell placement. You're going to bring in 3 rages for most LaLoonian attacks, and then the 4th spell, people use different things. Some people bring in a 4th rage, some people bring in a lightning spell to take care of CC troops, some people bring in a heal spell. I'm not sure what's best yet. I think we'll have to, the jury's still out on that. Hannah brought in a lightning spell this time to use against the CC troops. Of course, a lightning spell doesn't completely kill wizards, and so there's kind of a luck of the draw going on, where sometimes a balloon drops a bomb just so it kills the CC troops and everything's fine. Other times a single wizard takes out an entire group of balloons, so it's kind of difficult. In my opinion, I think you should still lure the CC if you can. I know that's not part of most traditional LaLoonian attacks, but I think you still should. I think it's better than a lightning spell, because the lightning spell doesn't kill all troops. If it's a dragon, you're toast. The dragon would just rip apart your balloons, and the lightning spell wouldn't do anything to it. And in addition to that, lightning spell doesn't kill the wizards. Now it weakens the wizards up, so hopefully if the minions get there in time, the minions can take them out in one hit each. But then you're counting on your minions to come in time, which may not happen, and by that time you've lost a lava hound. I'm just not a big fan of ignoring the CC troops or trying to lightning them. I would rather see this lured in the traditional way. I know that's going to cost some of your troop space, which is at a premium. It's just my opinion that it's worth it. So here, one level 6 giant would probably completely lure the CC, especially since they've been using all wizards in most of their high-level bases, and wizards get lured really easily. So that's only 5 space you've required to lure it. And then you could even just use your kill squad in your CC, because I don't like the way that the CC deploys balloons anyway. It's too slow and not targeted enough. So I would just say put a kill squad in your CC, use 1 giant to lure, another archer to anchor, and then drop your kill squad from your CC to take out the enemy troops, or the enemy CC troops. That's my opinion. And then you have a free, instead of using a spell for lightning or just taking the luck of the draw of whether the CC troops kill you, you've made sure that you're safe, and you get to use that extra spell spot for something useful like a rage or something. Okay. The final thing that I think makes the 3-star difference is spell placement. I think the spells need to get down quicker than what happens in Hannah's replay. And I also think that where you put them is important. Ideally, to me, the spell is going to go down deep enough in the base that it's covering the second row of defenses and getting them into the core. So you're going to do 2 spells here, and that's going to get your line of balloons from the first row of defenses quickly into the second row, because for balloons, the travel time is what really kills them, and so the main bonus for the rage spell is not necessarily the damage increase, because balloons are already doing ridiculous amounts of damage. It's more the speed increase for traveling in. So for me, the ideal balloon, or the ideal rage placement, is going to still cover the first row of defenses, because you want to get those balloons as soon as they're in and drop their bomb. You want them zooming off. You don't want them coming in slowly, dropping their bomb, and then having to kind of like work their way over. Like if the rage is right here, that whole time there's a lot of time wasted that they're getting to here, and then they finally get in and get the rage. I'd prefer it to be covering the first row of defenses, but then also touching in on the town hall. So something like what I'm drawing here. Okay, so that's going to accelerate them in. And then the third rage, if you've got 3, would go, in my opinion, right here, so that after the balloons have kind of they've eliminated this, you're bringing them in to finally finish off those last ones. And if it's a centralized air defense type base, you've taken out both of the air defenses, now you're golden. That's one of the reasons why it's also a little bit more difficult if the air defenses are out here, because you notice here, even if the rages were placed, as I just said, you know, here, 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 that gets you to here, but this one is clear out here, and so your balloons have to try to make their way all the way out there. Not a deal breaker, but that's just another reason why I like the centralized air defenses if you're using LaLoonian, because you can get that one rage to take out all those air defenses. So you're going to see that Hannah's spell placement is a little bit, this one comes down a little bit late and is a little bit far in my opinion. The reason I say it's a little bit late is because by the time it gets dropped, the balloons are already halfway past its radius, so they don't get the full effect of that speed increase. They've spent a few seconds going from here to here, and then the rage comes down and they're already halfway in the middle of it. If the rage had gone down before the balloons even got there, then the second they cross to that threshold, boom, they're accelerated. And so that's the timing, and then the placement I would have preferred for it to be further out, so that as soon as the balloons are done killing that first row, they're scooted into the second row really quickly. Now that's just my opinion from watching videos that I've seen and watching our replays. We can try it out and see how it goes. So let's watch Hannah's replay and see what happens. Alright, so she's going to do her line of balloons. It's a really good line, and you notice all of the different buildings got targeted, so it's perfect. Lava pups come in next. We lost a few balloons because this air defense was further out than some usually, and so it took out a few balloons in the time that it got there. You notice right now I wanted to point out how far the balloons are into the base, and no rage spells have gone down yet. So they've completely taken out this entire row except for this building, which is about to go down. And they're almost into the second row, and there are no rages down yet. So again, it's just my opinion, but I would have had them down as soon as possible, as soon as the lava pups went down and the minions came down, and I would have had them covering slightly that first row. Now you're going to see when it does come down, it's going to be already halfway. These balloons are already halfway into it, so we'll lose that advantage of it. You notice she used her lightning spell here to take care of the CC troops. If you take a look, some of those wizards are still alive. Now they end up getting killed by some of these minions and such. Now unfortunately, they'll still have a lava pup or lava hound alive here, but no balloons to back it up. That's because only about 4 balloons got sent to this side, and they just died too quickly, especially because there was an anti-air here, and the lava pups didn't come down till later, so there was only like 4 or 5 balloons on this side to start, and then one of them died immediately, and so you're already down to 4, and then as they went on, attrition got them, and so there's just not enough balloons on this side. Part of that's because the CC troops came in on this side, and that's why this side had the big bulk of them. It had the extra 5 all going to one spot, and that's why you notice there's more balloons on this side. That's another reason why I'm not a fan of the loons in the CC, because they all go in one place and you don't get to control them, versus if you put maybe your kill squad in that and you had 5 balloons extra, like in your own deployment, maybe 2 could have come here, 2 here, and it would have been more balanced and spread out, and you maybe would have had another balloon alive to come in and help here. The other thing that would have helped is if that rage had been there from the start, maybe the 3 or 4 balloons that were left could have got in quicker and taken out what they needed to take out to make it happen. And so now we'll just watch the rest of the replay. The air defense here, unfortunately, is still alive because we didn't have any loons coming this way. And that's going to end up taking out the rest of the minions and pups as they come around. Still a great job, got the 2-star, and she's going to get even more of a percentage as they come around, but you can see already that it's not going to happen because there's still an air defense up, plenty of defensive buildings and other buildings that attack air targets, and so they're just not going to be able to get it. Now, what would have made a difference? Some of the principles we talked about. I think if this air defense had been centralized instead of out, so maybe this base wasn't the best base to LaLoonian, even though I suggested this base for LaLoonian to Hannah, so that's kind of my fault. It wasn't a bad base to LaLoonian, but it just made it weird because the air defenses were spread out a little bit. But really good job, and we'll learn how to use this really powerful attack, and hopefully we'll become masters at it. Way to go, Hannah.